What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Blog Podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. Wow, I can't speak anymore. My name is Jay Callan. We like to find some of the best wrestlers we can to speak to, the luminaries of professional wrestling, the up-and-comers, the legends, and all points in between to talk about wrestling, talk about the sport that we're all so passionate about. And today I have another, in my opinion, a great guest, someone who is very passionate about the business, someone who's been grinding up and down the independent scene here in Southern California, a mainstay for the United Wrestling Network. He's also the SoCal Pro Heavyweight Champion. My guest today, Mathias. How are you, sir? Welcome to the live stream, the podcast. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, especially after that introduction. Did you just call me a legend? Is that part of like what was in the intro, or am I considered that yet?
I mean, we could say future legend for sure, right?
Oh, please, yeah.
What I was saying is that we, here on this podcast, I love pro wrestling. I think that's pretty evident. I mean, you can look behind me. I got so much wrestling crap.
Deadpool.
Yeah, but I feel like pro wrestling as an art form is best when you can observe as much of it as possible. There's people out there that only watch the WWE. There's people out there that only watch AEW. But I feel like, the independence is kind of where we find the next big superstars, the people to follow. And I'll be honest, I've been interviewing people about pro wrestling since 2009. I've been talking about wrestling for a very long time. A lot of the people that have been on this podcast have gone on to join the roster of the WWE, have joined the AEW roster. And I'm not saying that I have a hand in any of that, but it's just like I like to introduce to my audience wrestlers that they might not have been familiar with before, or people from the past who have an opportunity to talk about what they've done. You're kind of in that paradox where you're both. You're currently grinding as we speak. You're getting your name out there. You're building your reputation. You're building your work rate. You're showing the world what you're capable of doing. In the meantime, you're also building up a resume that I feel like when it's all said and done, people will be examining, observing, and be like, "Hey, that guy Mathias, man, he is pretty all right." And I like to talk to people who are in that pursuit. So.
Yeah, and also, like, to your credit, just having these people on, like myself and people up and comers, like every little bit, stuff like that helps, because like we don't know who's listening, who could be listening to your podcast that sees the way I talk, see the way I do things, and learns things about me, and then is like, maybe I am the next hire. So like, it's to your credit too, not just our work. It's always good to have like every little bit helps from everyone. You can't be successful on your own. You got to have someone or something or multiple opportunities behind you, and I view this as a great opportunity to tell my story to more people.
That's exactly what I'm hoping to do, right? And I do know at least one person was booked because of this podcast. I'll tell you offline, but I won't make it official here. But years ago, I did speak to a guy, and he later came to me and said, I got all these bookings after I was on your podcast. And when I asked the booker why, he said, "Oh, I heard you on Jay's podcast, and I decided to take a chance on you." I was like, that's high praise. I was very honored to hear that.
I mean, that's great value. So, I mean, anyone that wants to book me, you can, of course, reach out to me. Find me on all social medias at Mathias Wrestles. That's the Instagram, the Facebooks, the Tweeters, the TikToks, the YouTubes. I'm at Mathias Wrestles on all of that.
And you don't do the dances on TikTok, which I think is very, very disappointing.
No, I would never. Like, singing and dancing is not my thing. That's why I'm a pro wrestler. That's why I got into fighting, is because I can't sing and dance, just like Rocky.
Fair. That's absolutely fair. I cannot sing or dance either, but I don't think I do very well in your sport. Now, let's talk about pro wrestling, because obviously there had to be a genesis. There had to be something that awakened inside of you that made you decide that, hey, you know what? I want to be a pro wrestler. So did you grow up as a fan of pro wrestling? Did you fall into it when you were, a teenager, a young man, or when did you discover the art of pro wrestling?
I found it by sheer luck, and like I had seen little pieces of it when I was very young, but I didn't really know what it was. It was just to me a TV show, but it was just little pieces, snippets. But when I really found it, I was actually almost like a young teenager, like 11 years old.
Okay.
My brothers and father, they love football. Football's like their thing. It's a whole like family thing. I hate football. I don't know why. It's just it. I never caught on. I tried out for it a couple of times. It wasn't my thing, you know. So I would do martial arts. That was my thing growing up, and they would do football. But when they would go off to like football practice or games or stuff, I'd be at home, watching TV, flipping through channels after doing homework and whatnot. And it was obviously a Friday night that I was just flipping through, and I saw SmackDown. I saw John Cena standing up on the table doing his little rap gimmick in like '06 or so.
Sure.
Like, oh wow, this is like pretty cool. Like I remember like seeing like little snippets of The Rock and stuff from the Attitude Era. So like, oh, I found pro wrestling again. Okay, and I saw it one week, and then maybe a couple weeks later I found it again when I remembered it, and then like the thing that really took my attention was in 2007. It was John Cena versus the Great Khali. Now the reason being, I am 6 foot, 250 pounds, right? I am by far the smallest person in my family. My brother, I have 3 brothers, again,
Okay.
football players. They are giants compared to me. Like I am John Cena, they are the Great Khali, and I got 3 of them. My little brothers, 5 years younger than me, 6 inches taller, and like 80 pounds heavier. Maybe even more at this point, like that's my little brother.
Yeah.
So I grew up in the land of giants. Now, me and my brothers, of course, we got along, but there's still family rivalries and stuff,
Sure.
So just like the way I pictured my life. It's not like they're beating me down like Khali did to Cena. But it's just, the thing that attracted me to it. And like, oh, I can still be this small, strong guy like John Cena, fight with my heart, and like still accomplish a lot. I don't have to be a giant. Like I can take on giants. So to me, that's what made me fall in love with professional wrestling. And then from then, I just fell in love with the John Cena story, as well as all the Batistas, like all the big power guys. Like I like the guys that were strong, that whether they're, good or bad. Like I like the guys that are strong and powerful and did impactful things. So when I wrestle, that's what I try to do. It's nice, hard-hitting, impactful moves.
Do you find the irony in that you think of yourself as a little guy because of your giant brothers, but then in
Yes.
the world of Southern California independent wrestling, you are one of the bigger guys?
Yes, that has been my problem since I started. When I see myself in the mirror, I don't see how big I am.
Right.
It's like the big bodybuilders that you see them looking in the mirror, and then it shows in the mirror like a little small guy. Like that's how I view myself. I think I'm a regular sized person, and apparently I'm not. But so like when I started, I always wanted to be that good guy that was fighting the giants. But then again, I'm looking around, I'm like, where are they? There's a couple guys that are bigger than me. There's Anthony Idol, and a couple guys that are taller and a little bit wider and whatnot, and stronger and stuff. But for the most part, I am much bigger than 95% of the people down here. So it's really hard for, I guess, me to be Rocky compared to Dragos when there are no Dragos. Now instead of being Rocky, I have to be Drago. That's my role. So that's the role I'm taking on.
It's funny. It's not funny, haha, but it's interesting. The first time I ever saw you wrestle, oddly enough, wasn't SoCal Pro, wasn't Championship Wrestling. It was actually in a promotion down in San Diego at the Ale Smith Brewing, and I went mostly because I wanted to see Tommy Wilson. He had some health issues, and he got back into wrestling. SoCal Crazy was going to be there. Both those guys I consider friends. Both those guys I'm always rooting for. And then, of course, your opponent for the night was Mikey O'Shea. Mikey O'Shea, another guy I consider a friend. Now, he's somebody that, he's bigger than you. I don't know if he's taller than you, but I would imagine you guys are pretty close. Yeah. And at that time, he had just kind of gotten hot on TikTok. Like, I'm not kidding. Everywhere you looked, he had that element of surprise thing, and you'd see him pop up everywhere. Yeah. And I'm expecting him to go over because, like, number one, I've never heard of you before. I don't know who Mathias is. You had a pretty big following there at the Ale House,
Yeah.
and sure as shit, you win the match, and I was like, wow. And I don't want to say you manhandled Mikey, but you definitely moved him more than most people can because,
Yes.
again, he's a bigger guy. And that was my introduction to you. That's nearly 3 years ago. And since then, I've seen you continue to develop and grow and expand much, much greater in the sport of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Tell me about, first of all, working with Mikey O'Shea, because, again, Land of the Giants, he kind of fits closer to that description than most of the other people you work with in California.
Yeah, I mean, working with Mikey, even just talking to Mikey, like it's incredible. Like he's quite the character, but just as a human being, and then he brings that personality into the ring. It's just he's always so much fun. You know, like his personality on TikTok is like the way he is as a person. He just has fun. You know, his fun enjoys like everything that he does. So, I mean, that was really early in my career. That might have been like 5 or 6 matches into my career. You know, at ORC, One Ring Circus there. But yeah, I was a mainstay at ORC, and I was actually undefeated for, I think, 3 years at that time. I mean, not at that time, but like over the course of me working there. But that was very early on. And yeah, Mikey O'Shea, I don't know how much he weighed. Not want to like lowball him or highball him, but like
Sure.
he was well over 300, if not maybe even in the fours. And yeah, I got him up for a couple of moves, and you saw the finish, you know, where got him up on the shoulders. He like was a little bit sideways. I had to readjust and
Yeah.
throw him. Well, I did powerlifting for a long time, so like getting people up on my shoulders has always been like easy. Like squats are my favorite exercise. I love doing squats. I do squats twice a week, every week, forever. Like it's my favorite exercise to do. And if I'm not squatting 400 pounds in the gym, I mean, I don't consider it a workout. Like, what am I doing?
All right. Your boy Jay's been getting back into the gym routine. I've been doing it for about 2 years now. And when I was in high school, when I was a young man, I did play football. I did football, but I was terrible. I was like the Rudy of my football team.
Yeah.
And I played on the defensive line and O line, but you know, all the guys in my high school, we were a small high school, everyone, you know, navigated to the bench press. So everyone was doing bench, and so I'd find myself at the squat machine all the time. I was doing squat racks. And I was proud of myself because even though I was the smallest guy on the team, I was able to keep up with everybody else on squats. Bench press, different story. But and my max my senior year was like 405 or 410, something like that. And I was like, hell yeah, you know, that's like the one rep, and it's ugly and it's dirty, but you get it up.
Yeah.
And that's your daily rep.
Yes, I do that. I mean, twice a week. I don't do it daily. I probably could do it daily, but I also don't lift as much now as I did, you know, when I was actually powerlifting, because, you know, the pro wrestling training kind of beat you up. So I certainly still lift heavy. Like, I enjoy lifting heavy, but I'm not like to my full strength, probably about 90% of what my actual max strength was currently. Like, I did 455 with no belt or knee sleeves or anything on Monday. You know, that's just me just, you know, hey, let's have some fun today, you know.
I love that. That's what you do for fun. That's amazing.
Well, I want to be able to pick up these giants. You know, I grew up in the land of giants. I want any person that walks through the room, I want to be able to wrestle and pick them up and throw them over my head. You know, I've faced, you know, Alex Ace. He's literally 7 feet tall, 7'2" or something. You know, I've done my finish at him, got him up and slammed him over. Mikey O'Shea, Motros, like a couple of the biggest guys that ever wrestle down here in SoCal. I've gotten those guys up and flipped them over too, you know, a couple of times. So I have to be able to do my finisher to everybody, and squats are going to get me there.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll get more into the history of Mathias, but I did want to point something out to you. I follow the United Wrestling Network on TikTok, and they recently posted a match or a clip from a match from a year ago, March 25th. 2025, you're wrestling Maximillien.
Yeah.
And then on Tuesday night, you're in Oxnard, and you were challenging. I believe you were challenging. I didn't go to the Oxnard show, but I believe you were booked to take on Maximillien for that Heritage title. Am I correct on that?
That I did. I can't reveal the results if you weren't there, but that I did.
It's coming. Anyone who watches United Wrestling Network,
Yeah.
they watch it on the Memphis YouTube channel, or I think they're starting to put the matches up separately now on the United Wrestling Network channel. So
Yeah.
it won't be long before people can watch the results of that. But
Yeah, it should be next Sunday. You can watch it.
how cool is that? And again, Maximillien is a guy that obviously the UWN sees a lot of value in. He's a guy who
Yes.
they've been polishing quite well and putting him in the role that he's in. And if he's someone that they trust a lot, the fact that you've had not just one but two matches, I think says a lot about what they feel about you too, as someone that they would be willing to put in the ring with, a guy that again they're looking for the future. So I think that speaks volumes about what they see in you as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very honored to be in that position. I'm always one that I try to show up, show respect, and work hard everywhere that I go. I show up in a suit, because it's
True.
It's
Shit.
TV. I show up looking professional, ready to work. Whether I'm setting up the ring or not. Obviously I'm not wearing a suit while I set up the ring. I'll change into something else and help out with that. But I believe in leading by example, and especially places like TV or the bigger promotions. I was told, if you want to be a champion, you should look like a champion. So I show up looking professional, acting professional, because we're professionals before we're wrestlers. It's great to be a wrestler, but this is a business and we have to bring people in. So it's not time to just go play around with your friends. It's time to come to work.
That is a very, not only a great viewpoint, but also very appropriate for. I mean, look, they call it professional wrestling,
Yes.
and putting the professional in. I don't think there's a thing wrong with that. Now, I gotta ask, who instilled that wisdom in you? Who was that? Who got in your ear early?
That was good old Anthony Idol.
Yeah,
One of my trainers since I started. And what it was is I like doing ring crew. I like helping out. I like putting the ring together. I like being part of the team, and again, I like to lead by example. So I always try to show up early, and I try to put my best foot forward, helping out with everything. Well, at SoCal Pro, when I was doing that every time, I was kind of getting up the ranks there too. I'd been there for a year and a half, helping set up the ring and everything. And I'm always showing up in essentially work clothes, like clothes that you would put a ring together in, because it's dirty and dusty and stuff. And he just told me one time, he's like, it's great that you help out, and he never discouraged helping out. It's like always do that. But he's like, if you want to be a champion, you got to look like a champion. You can't show up here in your dirty, crusty T-shirt with holes in it and stuff. Show up like it doesn't even have to be a suit. Just a little more presentable. A polo shirt and some pants. I mean, how hard is that? It's just something that shows a little bit more care and effort into I want everyone on the outside seeing this as a profession more than just, again, a backyard ring we're putting together.
yeah.
So everywhere I go, I always come clean cut, ready to rock, and look professional, even if I'm working.
And I think again, I think the world of Anthony Idol. He's been on this live stream, and I've sang his praise so much. I was hoping that he'd get a more regular time over in Memphis, because I think he would be world champion of Memphis if he lived in Memphis. You can't convince me otherwise.
Yes.
He is perfect for that environment, and obviously traveling and paying for flights and stuff gets expensive. But if he was in Memphis, I think he would be the king of Memphis right now.
Yes, made for it. Totally made for it.
The gimmick itself lends itself to that 80s style of wrestling, which I know the Memphis fans seem to navigate towards.
Yeah.
But the fact that he can cut those promos, and he has that look, and it just, oh man, every time I see him, I just wish he lived in Memphis. I'm like, man, Dustin and Maria Starr would be foolish not to use you if you were there, because he's the package for that environment.
I don't think people truly realize how good Anthony Idol is at especially doing promos.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
Doing promo class with him for years, you haven't seen an Anthony Idol promo until you've seen him do every single person at promo classes promo for them. I did martial arts for a long time. We don't talk in martial arts. We just fight. So when I started pro wrestling, I knew I was going to have to talk. I wasn't nervous to do it. I just didn't have anything to say. Like
Yeah.
even still sometimes, like I don't have anything bad to say about this person or anything. It's just I just don't have words to say. Well, he had to put up with that forever and try to get me to like say stuff. So like he would give me promos. He would say the promo with intensity and all the like this, that, the character, and like try different characters, not just for me, but for everyone in class.
Yeah.
And like those are the promos that I wish everyone would see, because it just shows how versatile, how much range he has of like doing every different style of promo that there is, you know.
And so Anthony Idol was training you, so I'm assuming that was with SoCal Pro, right? That's where you were trained.
Yes, I've always done my training at SoCal Pro. I have done some like classes at different places, like Primal Pro Wrestling, Oxnard, a couple places, but SoCal Pro has always been my home. It's where I started and where I've continued my training.
Let me see. Here it is. I want to show. I have proof how old school I am because I have the SoCal Crazy action figure.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure Jeff's got a ton of them somewhere, but
that's crazy.
Yeah, it literally is crazy. SoCal Crazy.
Yes. Oh,
but
since you're pulling stuff out, I got my little me right here.
That's dope.
Prop. Yeah, I got this made by Izzy.
That's really
Izzy
cool.
Always come to the shows and stuff. Yeah, he made me one of these. It's a 1-1.
That's really cool, man. That's really, really cool.
Yeah. Shout out to Izzy.
There it is. And so far we've shouted out Mikey O'Shea, we've shouted out Anthony Idol, kind of shouted out Jeff, I guess, and now we shouted out Izzy. So look at us. We're putting other people over.
Yeah, I mean, that's also one of the things on podcasts, put everyone over, like, why not? Everyone has helped me get here. Every opponent I've had, every person I've trained with, they've all helped me. Even the new guys that I work with, they help me,
So, and now I'm going to jump back a little bit.
Sure.
Because you mentioned training. Powerlifting is kind of your background, martial arts. How did you transition? Or I guess, what was the decision process for you to say, you know what? This was fun. Martial arts was cool, and powerlifting was cool, but I think I want to try pro wrestling. What was that conversation like with your support group? Were they very invested with you in getting into pro wrestling, or did you have anyone in your circle say, hey man, that's not a good idea? Like, how did that conversation work for you?
No, I've always been very fortunate that my family has always supported me and helped me and pushed me to follow my dreams and chase the whatever I want to do in life. And being a professional wrestler for WWE is what I want. So the transition, I had always wanted to be a pro wrestler. It's just, I grew up in a small town up in Northern California, up in kind of the foothills of Lake Tahoe, if you know where that is. It's kind of between Sacramento and Lake Tahoe, but I'm in the foothills. And there wasn't really any pro wrestling around. There was nothing, when I was growing up. There was, like all through high school, I'd be searching once in a while and I couldn't find anything. And then when I finally turned 18, I found there was like some school up in Sacramento, a couple hours away. And I drove there one time. And when I drove there, I looked at the door. It was like the middle of the day on like a Saturday or something. They had a sign that said they had just shut down, like this last week was the date.
Dang.
And I'm like, I just turned the right age, 18, to be able to start doing this. And the school had shut down. So again, I was out of luck. So then, I mean, I had always been doing martial arts because that's the closest thing I could get. Martial arts, you do demonstrations and stuff, and you can still kind of act and behave and whatnot while you're taking moves. So, like, that was the closest thing I had. And we did competitions and whatnot, same sort of thing. I had competition. And then I did powerlifting because, and I started that when I was like 16, because I knew I wanted to be stronger to be able to lift up the giants for when I did professional wrestling. So everything I did in my life was still leading me to professional wrestling. I just didn't have a way to get there. And even so, as I was going to college, I went to college in Sacramento at Sac State. My family was not necessarily poor, but we certainly weren't rich. I had paid my way through school and everything. And I was still living at home doing 2-hour drives to Sac State and then back home just so I could survive.
Wow.
And even after I graduated, I tried again. I looked around for pro wrestling, and the closest place was like 6 hours away in San Jose or something. I think it was the school that Bailey actually trained at. And I just didn't have the money to move, so I was always like working, and like I built my own business where I'm selling workout programs. I'm like, oh, maybe this will make me enough money where like I can have passive income and I can go pro wrestle. Well, it kind of worked for a little bit, and then it didn't work. Business goes in waves. And I was still training and teaching martial arts, making money there, and trying to make money in all different ways that I could, so I would have enough to move somewhere that actually had a pro wrestling school. Well, all along the way, I met my now fiance, at the time just my girlfriend, and we grew up in the same small town. We actually met during martial arts, doing martial arts. We had known each other for a long time, like, I don't know, 15 years or something before we ever started dating.
Wow.
But then, like, we just kind of grew a little bit closer as we started working together a little bit more and going on dates and stuff. And then she wanted to go to college down here at UC San Diego. And I'm like, well, I'm coming, because I see like all these pro wrestling schools all around. So like the first opportunity I got, it just took forever to get it.
Yeah.
I went to go do a professional wrestling school. I moved down here, got a really great deal on this small apartment I live in. And then the first chance I got to go to a pro wrestling school happened to be SoCal Pro Wrestling. And I went there for a tryout and never looked back.
Was Idol the coach then at that time?
At that time, it was Tommy Wilson. SoCal Crazy, he had, like you said, some health issues with cancer. So he was out for the first year and a half or so that I actually had started. So I didn't actually meet him for a long time until later on. So it was Tommy Wilson and then Anthony Idol. I had those two as my main coaches, but then two guys that were always there since day one are the Mighty Tortuga and Eddie Islas. I consider those my trainers just as much as anyone else, because they were there since day one. And I've learned so much from those two. Like, I don't think I would be where I am if it wasn't for those two. And not only just by the training that they gave me and the wisdom, but like the matches I've had with them, the stories I've had with them. Like, they chose me to be part of the stories that we told that were some of the best stories might have been ever told at SoCal Pro Wrestling. So I was fortunate that they just even chose me for it instead of any of the other people they were training.
Now, and I feel like I can make this assumption because I know you fairly well. I mean, we're not best friends or anything, but I think very highly of you. And we've talked on more than one occasion. You are a very driven person, but
Yes.
pro wrestling can really dog you out. And it's not a given that there's so many people that go to wrestling school that never make it, right? Now, of course, you had the background in fitness, you had the background in martial arts. So, getting to that point, I don't think would have been hard for you. But, the mental game, the dog days of summer, trying to get into that, into the wrestling shape and then getting the opportunities. Was there ever a point in time where you felt like quitting?
Never quitting, no. But it is a hell of a roller coaster. I've within the same week, I would have the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. So if you like roller coasters, come do pro wrestling. I mean, it is a mental game. I'm a very self-driven person. I have dreams, and there's a phrase I say to myself almost every day, and it's no matter what, I'm going to make it. No matter what. There is no when or like if, ands, or but about it. It's no matter what, I make it. Sometimes even when I'm lifting weights, I'm going to go, I rack a weight up. I'm going to get that lift no matter what. I don't care if it kills me. I'm making it. So that's the way that I believe and look at a lot of things in life. If I want something, I'm going to go get it. Until I'm dead, I'm trying.
Love it.
Yeah, so I do have a lot of self-driven, but it is very much a roller coaster. There's ups and downs. Like my first year in pro wrestling, I tore my bicep.
Oh.
I was on like a good upstream, especially at ORC, the one you saw me fighting Mike O'Shea at, as well as SoCal Pro. Like, I was set. I was having so many matches. I was going to meet my first goal, which was 52 matches in a year. And that was only like 6 months, by the way, that I'd been wrestling. So it was a lot of matches every weekend. And I tore my bicep. I'm like, doctor said I'm going to be out for 6 months. Well, I thought to myself, he's actually going to clear me as soon as I'm ready. So I don't need to like maybe I'll have a John Cena recovery, maybe I won't. But to me, I was just focusing on the things I could do, not the things I couldn't do. So every day I was focused on recovering, getting my bicep back to 100% as quickly as possible by doing exactly what the doctor said to the fullest. So I took words of wisdom from John Cena. When he would go do recovery, he asked the doctor, like, okay, what do you want me to do for like physical therapy? They're like, oh, well, you can do like these exercises, you know, once or twice a day. And he's like, no, how much can I do this? Like, how often can I do this? And I'd be like, oh, well, I mean, you could do it like 4 or 5 times a day, but like nobody does that. He's like, well, I will. And that's exactly what it was. I had these physical therapy exercises they wanted me to do, and they literally told me to do it once a day, every day. And I'm like, well, how often can I do it? And they're like, well, you could do it probably up to 4 times a day. Beyond that, it's going to be like a little bit too much for the bicep. I'm like, all right. So I set 4 alarms every day to stretch it out and do the strength exercises, get it to work. Because like I literally couldn't turn my palm up. It's like one of the movement. It would be from here, and like it wouldn't turn unless I physically did that.
Wow.
Just because it was like stretching it. And then after like 2 weeks, I came in for my next like checkup, and it was like 90% there. And they're like, wow, we never see like that much of a range of motion improvement. I'm like, well, I did what you guys said. I did it 4 times a day. You know, like I'm speeding this shit up, you know, because I want to come back to pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Well, it ended up being that 9 weeks after I had surgery, I was back in the ring. I had my match with Eddie, the Chicano street fight, one of my favorite matches I've ever had. It was 9 weeks after that surgery. So, like, I really didn't miss the 6 months they told me I was going to miss. I only missed 9 weeks. It you know, you have good and bad. That was a bad that turned into a pretty good, actually. You know,
that's pretty crazy to think about the amount of recovery time, because like again, you know, the doctors say 6 months because I think everyone's the same, but even like 9 weeks, like that's barely 2 months out of the rings. That's wild, dude.
But you also have to think that like it's not a quad I tore. It's not like a super major thing. Like, I mean, a lot of people, they tear their biceps, they just don't do anything with it, and they're just like, oh, okay, well, when I stop feeling pain, I'm good to go back. And tons of people have done that, you know? I think it's like 6 weeks if you do that, and you're just back to it. But to me, if I can heal it, I want to fix it because I want to do this for a long time. So I had it fixed, and it's a small muscle, so it recovers relatively quickly. I didn't do anything crazy. I mean, I took vitamin C. That's literally what my doctor says. Like, yeah, you take vitamin C. It's like really good for your collagen and rebuilds your tendons and ligaments a lot faster. I'm like, oh, okay. So now, even still, I mean, years later, I take 500 milligrams of the chewable vitamin C twice a day. You know, help keep everything repaired and strong. You know, I haven't had any issues with it. It's 110%. I can do more pull-ups now than I did before I got injured.
I am so glad you didn't do this, and then all of a sudden you hear, oh, you know. I was fine until I went on Jay's podcast, and now it's ruined. That's an amazing turnaround, and I think that's a credit to, again, you know, that driven mentality, and that's honestly, I respect that so much from you. And again, you know, no, he's not paying me to say these things, guys. It's I literally watch. Again, I think I said it on the air. I wasn't sure if it was before, but like, you know, I was in TJ, and you literally, you know, you tried to get on the show. You did everything you could to get on the show. You didn't get on the show, but then you drove all the way out to Arizona, and we talked when you were in Arizona, and you're like, I go, you staying the night? You're like, no, as soon as the show's over, I've got like a 6-hour drive home, and I'm, damn. And that kind of hustle and that kind of grind, I don't think a lot of people understand how driven you have to be for that. And, you know, again, I asked earlier about the support circle you had with your family and the decision to become a pro wrestler, but, you know, also grinding right now and making dates, making loops, getting on the road. Again, you said your fiance. I mean, you have to balance many, many hats working as an independent wrestler. You have not only the art of professional wrestling, something you're super passionate about, but, you know, for you, your fiance, your family, like that's something very important. You also have another hat in that you're a business owner and have a business. So you're really juggling like 3 different things that all are very important, especially to
regular job.
Oh, and your regular job. Okay, we'll just throw that in too. So
that's why I don't get sleep. You know, I got to do all these things. Yeah.
So you literally are juggling 4 things at any given moment, and what kind of pressure does that put on you? And does that just give you more clarity and more drive, or does sometimes that make things harder for you?
It gets me more focused. There in the years that I just had my business and martial arts, and like I didn't have nearly as much as I do now. Uh, I'm naturally kind of lazy, so I was, if I don't have something to focus on to do, like there's not a lot that I do. I would, I would go work out, I would go to work, and then I'd go home. Like I didn't have something to focus on, even though I wanted to. That's how I kind of got into writing books. I mean, my books is what I sell for my business, and in my books, I mostly mean like workout programs that I sell on Amazon or my website and stuff. So like that gave me something to focus. I would get a book done, and I'm like, well, I don't have anything else to focus on. So I'd kind of like sit around, putter until I come up with the next idea. I'd find it, I'd get really focused and get it. So having all these hats is actually beneficial to me because I can focus on stuff, and I'm not someone that gets nervous or overwhelmed with things. It's not my nature. I don't know if it came from martial arts and doing that or just a self-driven nature, but I almost don't know what it feels like to be nervous or anxious about stuff. I'm very lucky. I just get very focused because like when you're going to fight someone, you ain't got time to be nervous about it. You got time to focus and do what you need to do. So my drive and my focus are what really gets me through all this stuff. I can't tell you the last time I had 8 hours of sleep. I don't remember. I can tell you the last time I had a 38-hour day, and that would be Tuesday.
Wow. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's the way that the life goes right now because I'm trying to do all these things. I'm trying to make it no matter what.
See, and then it comes right back around again that no matter what.
Hey, promo skill.
No, but like I consider myself a very positive guy. Similar to you, I have my own business as well. I'm wearing lots of hats. I have a family to support, and trying to push this as my other second business, trying to make something out of the podcasting and writing about wrestling and content creation, all that stuff. And I see what you're saying, like there's days where like, man, I start, especially right now, the economy's not great. So my 9 to 5, my money maker, what supports my family, I am struggling a little bit, but you don't have time to sit there and say, woe is me. You don't have time to sit there and say, well, we better come up with enough money to make payroll. It's no, you just got to do it. You just got to figure out a way. And you say, whatever it takes. In my head, it's PMA. Whatever happens, we're going to find the positive in it and move forward. So
Good.
I feel like we're very like-minded when it comes to that. And it's not always easy. Some days are harder than others. And I can't imagine a 38-hour day. Like I've had some pretty gnarly days, but 38 hours is pretty intense, man.
I mean, sleep is not required. Coffee is, coffee gets me through a lot. And I truly try not to do like too many cups of coffee. I've never had an energy drink, honestly. What? Never in my life have I had an energy drink. Not a sip, not a taste of it, nothing. Never.
Okay, now I'm. So what about pre-workout? Nothing?
Never, ever in my life. I don't know what fake caffeine tastes like unless it's in coffee.
That's
so
wow.
Yeah, it's even when I was powerlifting and stuff. Having big cups of coffee twice a day, like. That coffee's just my thing. And sometimes I'll just like not have coffee for a month just to like make it like more effective again,
Or just make it harder on yourself is what you're telling me. It's like, well, so life was too easy. I'm just going to take the caffeine out of it. I get it.
I still have a health aspect to me. I want to be able to do, again, pro wrestling and all this stuff for a long time. So, I've always been straight edge. I've always been drug free. I've never had a drink or anything. I don't even take NyQuil. It has alcohol in it or whatever.
Wow.
Never. I have a lot of self drive and like things in my head that I'm weird about. I haven't had bread, in probably 14 years.
So like, is that, so my daughter has celiac disease. So we do limit the amount of, bread, gluten products in our home, but is that a carb thing? Is that like a carnivore diet thing? Like why the lack of bread?
So this actually goes back to John Cena. Thanks, John. I don't know if you remember, but John Cena had the 10 weeks body change. Do you
Okay.
remember that like thing? It wasn't very long, but he had like this 10-week body change thing. And again, I wanted to do pro wrestling. He's a pro wrestler at the top of his game. This was like when I was 18 years old. I don't know, 2010, 11, something like that. I like, okay, I'll do his 10 weeks body change thing. And part of the thing was you're basically just eating meat, fruit, and vegetables and some dairy. There's like no bread in it. You can have rice if you really want to, but there's the big thing that changed it for me was there's no bread. I'm like, okay, I'll try this, for 10 weeks. So I did it for 10 weeks. And then I went back to trying to have like, I don't even know what I ate, like a sandwich or something. And it just made me feel awful.
Wow.
I don't know what it was. It hurt my stomach. And I never like got tested for celiac or anything. But it caused pain, like physical pain to me to have bread. I'm like, that's odd. And then I tried it again a couple of days later. And again, I got like these pains from having bread.
Wow.
So it doesn't make me feel good. So I just don't have it, that's as simple as that. I don't have anything against bread. It's just not what I have. I have, for the most part, I have meat and fruit. There's other things I'll have sometimes, but for the most part, my diet is meat and fruit. If I go to Panda Express, I'm getting the plain rice and chicken.
Yeah.
I have stuff. I have burgers. I love having burgers, but no bun, of course. It's
No
just either
style.
lettuce wrapped or just the patty.
Yeah.
I'll have cheese and milk and stuff. I mean, I'll have ice cream. I love ice cream. It's great. I don't have it too often, but I have it. It's just not bread.
What about and I know bread and tortillas are very similar, but tortillas out too? So no burritos?
I'm okay to have like corn. Corn tortillas is totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look,
I don't know if it's like gluten intolerant. I don't know what it is. If it doesn't make me feel good, I don't eat it.
I think that's a great way to look at it, but you probably do have some sort of gluten allergy because like the corn tortilla is fine for someone who has celiac.
Yes.
No flour, no yeast.
My biggest weakness in the world is allergies. Like I have allergies right now. I almost have year-round allergies because I did get tested for my allergies. And the doctor literally told me, you're allergic to everything that grows. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, well, you're allergic to pine trees, cedar trees, oak trees, basically all the trees I lived around in Northern California. And I'm like, okay, so I should move to the ocean. He's like, actually, you're allergic to oceanic trees. Like, I moved to the desert. He's like, actually, you're allergic to like desert weeds. And I'm like, what am I not allergic to?
They want to put you in a bubble.
I'm not allergic to dogs. That's the one thing I'm not allergic to. But I am allergic to cats and cockroaches is a thing apparently. But I mean molds and stuff. I'm allergic to everything, is what I'm told. So growing up, like I always thought I had asthma and stuff, but it's turned out, there's a million trees around. I'm just allergic to everything outside. And it wasn't until I moved down to San Diego where there's so many less trees. I'm like, wow, I feel great. It was like life changing. I could finally breathe after 20 something years,
Okay, so I'm not a doctor and I've never played one on TV, but maybe the reason why you're the smallest of your brothers is because the allergy hindered your growth.
I think the same thing.
I
really do.
Once we took her off of gluten products because she did have a celiac allergy, she grew like 4 inches. Like it was like almost overnight.
Wow.
And we're like, oh wow. And then we kind of feel bad now, like, oh man, if we would have known, she'd probably be taller than me now.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
All right.
I honestly think that was part of it. I really do. Because like even when I was growing up and I'd mow the lawn or something, we didn't know all about allergies back then. I'm a 90s kid, we don't know about this crap. We don't care about allergies, Huh?
Yeah. You're drinking out of a hose in the backyard.
I'd mow the lawn and I couldn't breathe for a week. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
I guess that would be very once you know that you're allergic to everything, I feel like that would be very just kind of like, oh, okay, that everything makes sense now. Like, I feel like that would put your mind at ease for a lot of things because when you're sitting there mowing the lawn and you can't breathe, that's kind of traumatic, especially when you're a little guy.
Yeah, so, I grew up on manual labor. Like I did it for a job. I did it at home all the time. Like manual labor is just like how I grew up. Again, I'm a 90s kid. There's some people I worked with and they don't know how to vacuum. Like, you don't know how to vacuum? Like what? Like I had to do the whole house cleaning every Sunday. I know how to do all that scrubbing and stuff. Yeah. That's where I got my work ethic from. It's from my grandpa and my parents and everything,
That's
Well,
that.
my dad would call my grandpa and my mom's dad. He would call him Bino because when you work with my grandpa, there'd be no talking, there'd be no water, there'd be nothing until you're done. Like you do the work until it's finished. And I started that since I was 5 years old. Is like had me doing stuff outside, inside, whatever.
I'm appalled and also tickled with Beano, and I think I'm gonna start adding that into my repertoire. Look, I could talk to you all day, and this has been a very fun conversation, but I do want to spend a little bit more time talking about United Wrestling Network and SoCal
Okay.
Pro, because I feel like, at least as far as my optics, those are your home promotions, and I think it's really cool that you are getting dates outside of those two places. Obviously,
Yeah.
you mentioned One Ring Circus. I do have to ask you this question.
Yeah.
You did wrestle in Mexico, that's correct, right?
Yes, I did.
And you teamed with the Border Patrol, and from my understanding, one of the members of the Border Patrol was actually like close to 60 years of age.
No.
Am I thinking about the right guy?
Yeah, Gabe. So Gabe is the manager. I believe he was the original creator of the Border Patrol.
Gabe
He may have wrestled.
Gabe up in with Pro Wrestling Revolution.
Yes, I think it's Gabe Ramirez, I believe.
Yeah, Gabe. He's a friend of the show too.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Well, so so of course I like to check out Cage Match, because for things that I don't know about, it's a great resource. It's not always extremely accurate, but you can find out some information. And it says that you had teamed up, and I'm trying to find the match here real quick. Down in Mexico, you took on Lucha Solos, which is Archangel Divino and Ultimo Maldito, two guys I really think are great. They teamed up with Shocker to take on Border Patrol number 1 and Border Patrol number 2.
That's
and
what they named them, Border Patrol 1 and 2.
Yeah, and when you look that up, that is Max Justice, who as of today is 63 years of age. Or I guess he passed away. If it's the same guy, passed away in September of 2025, and he was 63 years old when he passed away.
No,
is that the same guy?
No, the ones I was with were Dutra and Wise Guy. Dave Dutra and Wise Guy.
Oh, okay. Well then, okay. I said,
6 years old.
Cage Match is not always accurate.
Oh yeah,
but still pretty interesting. Like, that promotion down in Tijuana, I've never been there. I've been to there before, Evolucion Mexico, but they run out of the Casablanca in Tijuana, and I've seen multiple wrestling events take place there. I've never been there myself. I've only been to the auditorium. Tell me what that experience was like, heading down to TJ and wrestling down there.
Getting down there, it was amazing, actually. Like that Casablanca, that's a big place. They have like the above people, they have like the 500 or 1,000 seats down below. They have that big stage, and like it was so badass coming out to the Cops theme. Bad Boys. I still, honestly, I have the entrance video on my phone that my fiance took, and every once in a while I'll go back and I'll just watch that entrance because it was just so cool. Like they had this big up on the big screen, and this is only like a year and a half into my wrestling career.
Wow!
And I got to go out on this big stage in Mexico, and I got to pin Shocker, one of the Lucha legends. I'm like, oh my god, it was incredible. The full match is on my YouTube channel, but like I'll go back and see just the entrance once in a while and be like, that was a cool day. That was really cool.
Would you consider that your biggest moment in pro wrestling?
No. It's one of the coolest moments, that's for sure, just because it was a big stage.
Yeah.
And facing against a legend like Shocker and stuff, like that was amazing. I don't know what my biggest moment is. It's probably my match against Judiz. It's hard to beat that. I know that Shocker's a legend and more well known, but as far as like SoCal and like my story and everything I've done, going against Judiz in that career versus title match, I think that has to be. It's hard for me to put something above that.
And and again, this podcast is geared towards a lot of NWA fans and the United Wrestling Network fans. I don't think Judiz ever gets his just desserts because that guy was such a workhorse for such a long time here in Southern California, and his presence in the ring was phenomenal. He was stellar. His work rate was stellar too, and it's kind of funny. He was also on that card a year ago for United Wrestling Network when they did Championship Wrestling from Hollywood in Irvine, and he was just such a great someone I really enjoyed watching. Somebody I wish he would have gotten more opportunities because I feel like he was a phenomenal talent. Absolutely. What did it mean? What did it mean to you that you got to be the one to retire him?
I'm always asked this, and it's a hard question to answer because I was honored that he chose me to be that person that was his last match and retired the standard bearer that everyone looked up to, and someone I still look up to myself, to be honest. But it's a hard day at the office because I had to be the asshole to put him away. Everyone loved Judiz. And the hardest thing was we knew how the match was going to go, how it went and stuff, and we were prepared for it. But after that match ended, everyone else went out to that ring and got to celebrate with Judiz. I'm the one guy that had to walk to the back and just soak it in myself. Like, again, it was great to have the opportunity, but it was a hard day at the office because you're losing a friend. He's moving across the country and stuff, and all the stuff he's taught me, and it's all going away. And again, I had to be the one asshole standing behind the curtain while everyone else was out there taking their toast with him.
Yeah. That's we never look at it like that as a fan, right? Like, it's a job. Everyone's doing their job, and that was your role that night. And again, the level of respect where he could have probably asked anyone to retire him. It could have been SoCal Crazy. It could have been, I know Tommy's not really part of the SoCal Pro, time and space right now, but at one point he was a very important part of that time and space.
Yeah.
And that could have been him, and there could have been so many other people, but it was you. And again, I guess that speaks volumes to what Jeff Dino sees in you. And again, what Jew saw in you too. I should say Judiz because it doesn't sound right saying Jew.
Please say Judiz.
What Judiz saw in you as well, because again, putting respect. I mean, he literally put respect on your name. That's the last thing he did in wrestling was to put you over.
Yes.
So, I mean, as a fan's perspective, like that should be cause for celebration. But I guess the flip side of that we don't see is like, well, that's my pal. And then everyone else got to, celebrate his, give him his flowers right then and there. But you had to stay in the back because that's, kayfabe, and that's part of the storyline. And I think there's something beautiful about that, but I guess it's also pretty lonely too. It
is. So in essence, I now understand the promos and all the stuff and everything that Shawn Michaels had to go through when he was the first time Ric Flair retired.
Yeah, for sure.
I couldn't understand now that feeling that he probably had because everyone else got to go give Rick his flowers,
right?
Whereas Shawn had to be the one behind the curtain and just by himself while they're all doing that.
The other thing that caught my attention is it wasn't just Mexico, but Cage Match also shows that you wrestled in Canada, and
really? That'd be cool.
Yeah. Did you wrestle in Canada, or was that another mistake?
I did not. I'd love to go to Canada. I had two dates set that didn't work out, but I have not yet.
Okay, well then that's fair. Then we'll skip that question then.
If you want to book me there, hey, anybody, I'd love to wrestle in Canada this year. Please
just message him on any social media app. We've got TikTok, we've got Instagram. He's gonna do Blue Sky next. But I mean, so you're like 3 years into your career. You've held the SoCal Pro Championship for nearly an entire calendar year. We're 10 days away. Of course, we're coming up on the SoCal Pro anniversary show. It's a big deal. You're wrestling for championship titles in the United Wrestling Network, obviously between Irvine and also Thunder Studios in Long Beach, and then up in Oxnard at the Levity Live.
Yeah.
Has there been any talk about you perhaps hitching a ride out to New York and doing some of the Gotham wrestling?
Not a lot of talk about it. I mean, doing the shows I already do here with Championship Wrestling, it's the same audience. It's broadcasted to the same channels, the same people. You know, it's just like United Wrestling Network is the same as like what WWE is compared to Championship Wrestling, which is SmackDown or Raw, you know?
Right.
So Gotham Wrestling, it could be SmackDown, and Championship Wrestling is Raw. Like, if you follow United Wrestling Network, you see all of it. You see Memphis Wrestling, you see Gotham, you see all the other things they're about to come out with as well. Like, it's all broadcast to the same people. So, yeah, it'd be great to go to New York and wrestle and say, hey, I wrestled in New York. But there's not a lot that, as far as like an audience standpoint, that's being missed. So I don't think they're in a big hurry to put me out there yet. Because, again, they're just starting that off, and they probably want to find new talent that's out there that they can bring to their audience versus using the same talent in different locations, if you know what I mean. You know, I think the whole point of them doing Gotham is to, again, find new talent. So I don't want to take away from what's going on over there.
That's definitely an interesting way to look at it. Now, April the 11th, SoCal Pro, a wrestler who I've had a lot of respect for over the years, and he's been all over the place with, you know, Ring of Honor, you know, WWE, part of the whole cruiserweight division on SmackDown back in the day, former tag team champion with Brian Kendrick, Lucha Underground talent, Paul London. He's still what shocks me about Paul London, and this isn't I'm not taking a shot at him, but he's still very active on the independent wrestling scene.
Yes. Yeah.
And in guys like him tend to fade away, but he's still out there, you know, oddly enough, so is Brian Kendrick. But, you know, Paul London is a guy that has had a very high level of success, both, you know, with major wrestling promotions and some of the smaller ones back in the day. But he's going to challenge you on April the 11th for your SoCal Pro Championship. Maybe one of the biggest names to step in the ring with you for that title. Tell me about your feelings coming into this match. Obviously, you grew up watching John Cena on SmackDown. Paul London was there too. He is somebody that you definitely saw during that time frame. And now you're going to be stepping into the ring with him. What does that mean to you, number one, as a wrestler? Number two, in this full circle moment that you grew up watching this guy on television, and now you're going to share the ring with him. Tell me about the feelings you have coming up for this match and how it came about.
Well, first, as a wrestler, what's that fairy tale they say? It's London bridges falling down. How does that go again? As a wrestler, that's what comes to mind.
Sure, of course.
London bridges are going to be falling down. I might hit a couple of backbreakers, see how much we can stretch that bridge. But that's as far as a pro wrestling standpoint goes. I'm not going to give you the full promo just yet.
That's fair.
As a person, I mean, Paul London and Brian Kendrick both, I mean, they were one of my little brother's favorites when he was smaller than me at the time. When we were younger, you know, like, he loved the energy, them running to the ring and stuff. And, like, when your brother catches on something, you kind of catch on to it, too. So, yeah, like, I loved what they did, the crazy high-flying moves. I'm pretty sure Paul's not doing the high-flying moves anymore. I did see him have an incredible match at MLW, you know, this last time that they were in LA. I mean, he can still go. I know that. So, I mean, he's not just as some people say, like an old timer. He is by no means an old timer. Like, he can go. Like, he's got a lot of knowledge behind him and still a lot of ability behind him. So he's probably the biggest challenge to the title so far. You know, so I'm really looking forward to it. It is pretty cool. Anytime you hear like, oh, you're going up against a legend, like, it does mean a lot. It adds to the resume, you know, and that's a lot of like what it takes, as far as I understand, to get it to the next level is like, what have you done? What's on your resume? You know, not only as an athlete, but like if you're a wrestler, who have you faced? Where have you wrestled? if there's like these big name companies like GCW I worked for, I know that WWE and AEW and them, they care about that. So it's another thing I can add to my resume is I've faced and I've learned from this person. I think that's the big takeaway that they're looking for the resumes. I've not only worked championship wrestling, I've learned from championship wrestling. I didn't just go there once. I haven't just worked for GCW, I've learned from GCW. And the same thing with opponents. I didn't just work with Judiz, I learned from Judiz. I'm going to learn from Paul London. So I'm looking forward a lot to learning from him and seeing what he can teach me to help me progress forward to the next level. Because again, I'm going to make it no matter what. But I'd really like the help along the way, and I know that he's willing to give
it. That's awesome. I mean, I feel like that's a very exciting matchup. And of course, if you guys can't be there it's in Vista, right?
Yeah, Vista Boys and Girls Club, April 11th, starting at 7 p.m.
Tickets, front row, $30.
At SoCalProWrestling.com.
General admission, $20 to get you in the door. And then SoCal Pro, they typically put their matches also on YouTube available as well, right? So like it's something that maybe
it's typically live streamed.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, typically it's live streamed on YouTube as well as posted later. Sometimes it's not though. Like if there's a big match, we may or may not. I have not been told whether we're live streaming this or not. So make sure you get your tickets, and then we'll see. Maybe that's what I think. They have to sell out before they live stream it. Maybe that's what it is. It's
like the old MLB days. Like we're gonna black it out unless we sell it out. I really appreciate your time today, and I feel like we could probably gonna talk for another hour. So, I love the positivity. I love your outlook on this sport and this art, and I really feel like the best is yet to come for you. Again, 3 years into the business and you've done quite a bit already. And I'm wondering what it's going to look like in year 10. Is it going to be under the bright lights of the WWE? Is it going to be? Yes. Yeah. I just feel like the world is kind of like your oyster, and it's, you're going to pick what you want to do and what path you go on. And I'm excited to be like, well, hey, back in the day, I had Mathias on the podcast,
hey, I'll come on again. You just got to ask.
Well, sure. I'm just saying, I'm saying that, I feel like this is for people who are just finding out about you now, I feel like this is a great time to get in because, if we're all stock trading our pro wrestlers, you want to buy now on Mathias because I think that stock is going to continue to rise.
Wow, that's a great way to put it. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, and I'm hooking my wagon to you, man. So just bring me to the top with you.
You got it.
All kidding aside, that's what I'm going for. All kidding aside, I wish you nothing but the best this coming, or I guess not this coming, but April the 11th. And again, make sure that you guys like, comment, subscribe, follow. Do all the things on his social medias. Make sure that you're following Mathias. Again, TikTok dances, he lip syncs, he does backflips.
No, I do a lot of pro wrestling, and sometimes I talk some smack. At Mathias Wrestles on everything: Instagram, Facebooks, TikToks, the tweeters, the YouTubes, all of it.
And I'll make sure to put links to all of that in the video description. So if you guys didn't catch that, you can just click a link later. Again, nothing but the best for you, sir. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you later. Thank you very much for having me.
And guys, we'll see you at the matches. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.